Hey, so yeah, I'm Nigel, this is Blue, we're from the Crave Collective, and so part of that we've got Crave Cafe in Morningside in Auckland. And so we are really enjoying the space and what it is. We've been going for about 2 years. This is some of the original guys that created the cafe, this is the Collective.
And so if you look at some of these guys, the thing I want to point out is there's only, I call them the dirty dozen. There's not many of us, and there's no white hair in there. I'm the oldest guy in there. There's a whole bunch of young guys that want to actually move into a community and change the community they live in, and they're prepared to invest heavily into that.
So Kingsland, the broader area that we live in, we were sort of, we moved in and it was like, how do we engage? What do we do? And hospitality is a really big part of what Kingsland is. So there are a lot of bars and cafes and things around. But at the same time, there's lots of really, really cool people, but who are just not connected to each other. So there's a sense of a transient nature. People move in for a season and move out. And it's unbelievable how many people I talk to who have spent a season in Kingsland at some point. All right, so down into Morningside, and we're Brotown, a little bit of that. So this is sort of our end. And sociologically, things shift a little bit. And we've got sort of licorice all sorts down where we are. And it's brilliant, you know. So there's from quite wealthy to really not wealthy, from all sorts of nationalities. It's a really good suburb, mixed up and with great diversity.
So, in order to fund this, a whole bunch of us got together, and there's a music festival on every year. And so we build a cafe in the middle of a field, and we ring in all our mates, and we get up to 90 or 100 of our friends who volunteer their time, and we just cane it, a 24-hour cafe, pumping out coffees. It's just carnage, and we love it. And that every year provides some funds to pay off all the debt that we've signed up for, and it's a really good time. So this is the beginning. When we first started the cafe, it was nasty. You know, we just cleared it out. The old people left. We had to chisel up everything. We just made it up as we went, and it kind of turned out all right.
So one of the things that when you start a cafe is that you've got to do your food and your bits and pieces well. And so what was important for us was we got a review on the canvas pretty early on, and a 4 out of 5, which just sort of, it gave the local residents a sense of confidence that this wasn't a burger bar, you know, or lunch bar type cafe. And that was critical for us to kind of to get engagement in what we were doing.
We never set out to build a cafe in our area. This is one of the things that we do upstairs. We want to live in a community and actually create a community that we wanted to raise our kids in. And so part of that was being hospitable. I opened up our homes. This is my kitchen here. And we do cooking classes every week for our local community. Don't come along. If you're not part of our local community, we won't talk to you.
The best way to engage people, your neighbours, is have them in your own kitchen and do stuff. It's great.
Phase 2 came around. We wanted to extend our cafe because it was just pumping. And so we cut a big hole in the wall. This time it was going to be easier. We're going to employ people, and it wasn't going to cost as much money. How wrong were we? Because we had no idea what we were doing. But the result was we wanted to make an extension of our lounge and have a place where people could belong as part of our community, not just turn them over. And so we created lots of spaces. This is some of the hard work that went into the back of it. And honestly, so many volunteer hours went into this. It was incredible. A lot of late nights, a lot of 1 o'clock mornings during the week. It half killed us, but it was a good time. This is some of the results. So without all the gibboard and the dust, what we came up with was we were massively proud of. The community table there, you can come in by yourself, but you don't have to be by yourself. You can connect with other people around a big-ass community table in there. Lounge spaces, so that it's an extension of your lounge. People sit there and they feel comfortable, and it's like old grandma's cup of coffee, you know, on the table over there, and they just connect, and it doesn't matter where you are. And so we created spaces for people to exist in rather than spitting them out, you know, tables and chairs and turnover.
You have things that are charitable, and often they're actually done really badly, executed badly, but people still support them because of the motive behind it. But we sort of wanted people to want to engage this, not just out of the heartbeat, but actually because the stuff was good. And so good food, you know, baristas entering barista championships and that kind of stuff has been part of who we are. And so we're proud of our coffee, we're proud of our food, we're proud of what we do as the actual product, as well as the underlying ethos underneath and behind it.
So part of connecting was, you know, this is one of the spaces in that sort of crave. You know, the name's Crave, and we wanted to connect people with the things that are really important to us. What do we all crave about? Meaning, purpose, life, destiny, those things that bring people together that are important, not just good coffee. So we wanted to create a space that people could come and discuss that sort of stuff. Because when you know a little bit about each other, you actually want to be each other's neighbours. You pass each other in the street and you actually do that rather than just... So what we did is, this didn't start out of the cafe. It started because I had a pig in the back of my car because I'm a hunter. I thought, well, let's do something stupid here. So I always wanted to feed the neighbourhood. So we put it on a spit and invited anybody who walked past to dinner. And that night we had 80 people turn up. It was fantastic, you know. And then the cafe got involved, local neighbourhoods got involved. We did a big, massive paella the next time for street party, sort of closed the street off. 150 people showed up. Next time we did it, pizza ovens, 200 people showed up. Next time, paella again, 400 people showed up. And then just a few months ago, we did our last one, 600 people showed up on the street, full band. But something changed. It wasn't us putting it on. It starts from a couple of people to organisation to the neighbourhood getting involved and owning it. And so people were coming out, and there's DJs, and there's people saying, how can we support this? What can we do to help out? And it was incredible, the response that came up as a result of this. It was really, really incredible. So the neighbourhood feels like we've got our own identity, our own expression, our own street party. It's not just us anymore. And sort of that's the thing about, if you exist to give it away and you empower other people can live and their dreams can come true because you did something and created a platform for it.
And so each of those times we do something that we've never really done before, and so it's experimental for us, and so everyone can engage with that, and it's all good. So we don't get to be the experts, we just get to be fellow travellers on the food journey, doing wood-fired pizzas and mucking it up. And it was.
We never know if it's going to work. We never ever know if it's going to turn out all right.
So this is a statement here that we've got on the wall of the cafe. So just sort of trying to explain a little bit of what the collective is about, you know. And so the thing is that, yeah, we're charitable. All of our money goes back into the local neighbourhood, with a little bit of stuff going to some global poverty as well. And the idea of the basic craving of humanity to connect. And so we thought, if we can do something that connects these great people in the neighbourhood together, they're really cool. But a lot of them are renters. They're there for a short time, and they're not owners in that sense that they don't own the community. And so if we can help them feel like locals, then they become owners, not renters, and they engage, you know. And so even if they're only there for 3 years, they can still engage, be part, build something, and go away from that season going, that was really a good time. And so that's our goal. So
this is us. We create stuff for people to do, parties. The guys looking like Kiss are us. Yet again, there's no older folk as part of this. This is young guys wanting to make a difference, wanting to make a dent. And so the thing about young guys, they want to do stupid stuff because they're not afraid to do stupid stuff, not afraid to put it out there and look ridiculous. And the byproduct of that is some amazing stuff is happening around the neighbourhood as a result of young people wanting to actually put a stake in the ground and belong to something.
So we do a few things that sort of happen. So some of the collective, Gemma, she's down the back, she runs Jamming with Jam and Bread on a Wednesday night. And so it's just, you come along, jam, you can have as much jam and bread as you want while they're jamming. Yeah, and it's all good.
People just come because they want to talk and connect. There's other special events. Obviously, if you've been to Morningside, everybody has the council, you'll know, the World Cup. There's so many special events that happen out there. And so we want to just jump on the back of those special events and actually do a point of difference. We're not a flesh market. We're not a cafe that just wants your money. We're not a pub. And so when an event's on, we want to create something on the back of that event rather than just take from it.
So we've formed a partnership with the Blues this year, and that's been really good as they've gone local, kind of stepped away from maybe like a Sky City thing into more like, how do we be local, because we're that team. So they've had a bunch of lunches and stuff in the cafe, and they're quite supportive, and that's been good for us, and it's been good for them, and I think there's a real sort of sense of just a community vibe that happens with it, and so we're quite stoked on it. So we've got some season passes that they've given us, and we give them some free food, and it works out. We go to the games, and when they win, it's great. When they don't, it's not.
Now, depending on if you go to work on the train station in Kingsland and you'll catch the train with people who have jobs, or if you're dropping your kids off to kindy and people who aren't having jobs, depending on what street you walk down, you'll get a whole mix of people with a background to people who are high, execs and stuff. It's an eclectic mix, and I love it because you walk down the street, you're going to bump into every ethnicity, every type of person, and because that's what makes the neighbourhood up, and it's so diverse, we love it, yeah.
And so the cafe staff represents a broad spectrum of what society is, and it's really cool. So for one of the things too, we have a bit of our time, it's local stuff, and then there's a little bit of global. So coming up next this year in October, we're taking a few people from the community as well as some of the collectives, about 15 or 20 of us going over to Kolkata in India and just doing some work with trying to eliminate some of the sex trafficking that goes on and some of the stuff there. And so that's part of maybe what this t-shirt is too. And so that will be a sort of a way for us to pool resources and make a collective difference, in someone's life.
So the take home from this is that you don't have to make a whole lot of money out of your enterprise in order to be really transformative to a community and people's lives. But if you take the money out of the equation, then the true motives will stay really hardcore there. And the thing is that people will step into that and join you because people want something to join into that's going to make a difference where they live and in their lives. So,
Thank you very much.